So, hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. And I've got a very special guest today. Me and Dee go back. Oh my goodness, we've just been chatting 25, 27 years, maybe, back at Loughborough College, back at Tony and Guy. And this is the first time we've ever spoke, right? Since then.
Yeah, but it feels like only yesterday, which is amazing.
That's incredible. So Dee's story really resonates with me, and I wanted to get Dee onto the podcast tonight because this you've got to hear her story. You've got to hear how she's become so successful in what she's doing, overcome fears, and she's finally doing what she loves doing. So yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. Like, this is such an honour, and this is a step out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
in a good way, because I'm thinking, okay, so if you can do this, then maybe you can do the next thing, and then the next thing. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. I think that's another reason that, I'm sure you do believe in the universe, and it provides the answers and the
Mhm.
questions so when whether it's the universe or my voice in my head tells me, ask Dee, go and ask Dee to be on the podcast, and that's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you. I won't question it. I won't procrastinate about it. I'll just ask you. If you said no, then you say no. But you then lean into your fears. And what you've just said is like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm facing a fear. So
Mm.
just lean into it, and you've done it. So here we are. Fantastic. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think, you know, anyone who knows Dee, she's one of the most positive, happy people I think I've
Mm.
ever met, like ever.
Oh, bless you.
In my journey, and what I really want to know is, where does that come from? Do you think? Where does those happy vibes come from? Is it from your upbringing? Is it just something you have in you? Just let us know why you're so positive and happy.
Yeah, I think if I was to answer that straight off the bat without even thinking about it, it's within me, because my childhood was a little bit colourful, to say the least, and I think I clung on to the magic. I clung on to the hope. I clung on to the signs, the vibes, everything that you possibly can as a child. I clung on to, and I don't think I've ever grown up. I think I've constantly got this inner child with me.
Brilliant.
Because I felt, when I'm dipping my toe into the adult world a bit, like, doesn't feel right. I don't feel aligned with that. That feels a little bit too serious to me. Even putting the news on. And today we're going to be talking about deaths. And it's like, no, we're not going to be talking about anything like that. Okay, gone.
Well
And that,
done.
and then as life has gone on, so many lessons have been put in front of me to steer me completely on this path. So, for example, I've always been a bit, I don't know, a square peg in a round hole. I'm not really sure what you want to call it. But my life, when I started I was, it's fair to say I had a great primary school, loved primary school. Little bit of a joker. I'd buy the teacher soap and it'd be the sort to blacken her face, and I just loved it. I was always got told off for chatting and laughing, and it was great. Come high school, I didn't fit in with the norm. I'd got a silly name. I'd got a big nose. I was a troll, and I lived in a council house. I didn't have the right clothes, and it wasn't their fit. I understand that now. That was their problem, not
Yeah.
mine. But at the time, it was my problem. And I think during that time, and there was a lot of heavy stuff going on at home back then. And basically, to cut a long story short, when I found hairdressing, it's like I peeled back the layers of me, because I had my hair coloured. Like I decided I did not want to stay at school. I could have stayed. I got my GCSEs, but I didn't want to stay where I wasn't comfortable. And so I'd got my Saturday job as a junior at hairdressers,
Mhm.
and I realised they just accepted me, and like the customers just accepted me, and I could just be me. Like I could be playful. I didn't have to conform to having the right logo or having the right this or having the right that. I could just be me. And then I got a bit of colour in my hair, and I was like, oh gosh. And I started to sort of sparkle on the
Mhm.
inside out, because then I'd learn about makeup, and it's not aesthetic. I've got nothing on tonight.
Great.
It's not aesthetic, but for me, it was a mask I needed there and then, to find out who I was. And then yeah, I don't know. I'd got people talking to me from school, who generally didn't want to know me. I'd got boys sort of turning their heads, and they're thinking they surely can't be looking at me. And I just started to grow. And then because I realised I could be me and make people happy in the chair, and oh, it was just immense, absolutely immense. And I found my footing, because I spent a lot of time at work, so I wasn't in a home situation. I was experimenting with my wages, so I was buying different clothes with my wages. Um, and I met a great. I've known him all my life, my whole life. Chris, bless his heart. I'd known him since he was young, and
Mhm.
he was like one of the popular lads of the school. And so if he sort of even gave you a smile, you'd be like, oh my God, he's just smiling at me, or something like that. I remember there was a time I was at the locker, and I'd got a jar of sweets, and I just won them in a raffle, and he walked by, and I was fumbling around. I dropped the whole lot on the floor. But then I was like telling everyone, you never guess who helped me pick my sweets up. I said he did. Now at this point, I'd got my braces, and I was just, yeah. I'd get home, and I'd have, it's really quite sad actually, but I'd have spit all on my back where and I'd take my coat off, and I'd get to a point where I wouldn't want to look at my coat because I'd know it would be full of spit. I got the nickname 10PD because somebody didn't have, well, I thought they didn't have enough money for their dinner. And so I gave them some money, but it was a bit of a trick. And so I got the nickname of 10PD. And, all these things built up. And so when this particular boy, later on when I was 18, who was also a hairdresser at Vidal Sassoon,
Mhm.
said he wanted to go out with me, I was like, I don't, I don't get this. I don't understand this. As it happened, we did, and we got engaged.
Wow.
And he was the pinnacle of my confidence, because I could still be me.
Brilliant.
And we had a dream, and this is where I don't think you know my story from here, because we
No.
had a dream. I moved to another hairdresser's, and we had a dream of living in Thailand,
Okay.
because his dad owns a sports diving salon in Koh Samui.
Uh-huh.
So we were living together in Groovy, and we'd got the dream of both of us going off and doing hairdressing, and we were going to call it Koh Samui Sports Divers Salon. We'd got it all sorted. We'd been out there. His dad had found us the property. I mean, I think actually I'd only just turned, was I 18, 19? I can't remember numbers, but
Mhm.
still quite young to leave and go and do that. But I didn't, there was no hesitation, because
Wow.
I just needed to. Um, but unfortunately, and I don't want to put the doldrums on things, but it's almost like, it's like one of those, what they call a sandwich. It's
Yes.
like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So with that sort of thingy, unfortunately, I got a phone call when he was out there sorting the business out, that he'd actually died. He'd had a motorbike accident and had a brain hemorrhage and died as a result. And so straight away,
Wow.
my life. I'm there in our cottage with everything packed up. And it's almost like someone's just closed the book. You know, when you read a book, when you read it, you need the ends tying up. You need to know if it's something just finishes there and then, you're like, oh, it's well done, my heading, or a film. And I just sat there, and I never forget, I sat in the cottage and I was like, that can't be real. And it slowly dawned on me as weeks and times, obviously the funeral passed and I had to sort everything out, that my life was going to change dramatically. My confidence died with him.
Yeah.
My passion for hairdressing died with him. My magic was, if that's the word, kept me going. Looking for signs, looking for special numbers he'd probably put out there. White feathers. I know that's you, Chris. That's what kept me going. I suddenly realised that my life's not what I thought it was. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was then back to being what I felt like, to square one, because I wasn't going to love anyone, and everything had just gone with him, and I wasn't going to Thailand. So what was I going to do? And as it happened, I know I must have. I mean, I was never diagnosed, but I know I went into deep depression. I know I did.
Yeah, understandable.
And I'm sure I must have had some sort of nervous breakdown, because I was just, yeah, I couldn't think. I couldn't think straight. And my sister, who I'd not seen in 10 years, for different reasons, landed on my doorstep and was like, right, I'm taking you to Scarborough. You're coming to Scarborough. So my sister, who I'd not seen for like 10 years, because of different family things, I was there in her company thinking, this is amazing. I've got my sister back, but living a completely different life. Almost as if someone's just pulled the rug from under you. And I did that for a bit. I was at Scarborough, and I slowly started to get better, and I had some medication, and read so many self-help books. I cannot even begin to, oh my gosh.
At that stage, did you still believe that it had happened? You know what I mean? Had you come to terms with it at that stage?
Not at all. And that's a really good question, because I was going to like a spiritual church,
right,
at the time, so that I could get in touch with him.
Yeah.
To
try and make sense of it.
Yeah. And so I was living for the spiritual church. The fact that I could go and hear a message or get a message or whatever, I was clinging on to everything and anything possible. And I'm still very, very much in touch with his mum. His mum's like my mum. She's family.
Oh, good.
And together we just couldn't piece anything of anything together. And in a way, we had to sort of build our relationship from scratch, because there was always Chris, who was the middle, commodity. But actually, saying that, I just love her with all my heart, and between her and me, you get Chris.
Okay.
So it's really quite beautiful.
Wow.
And then I came back to Leicester, didn't have a job, didn't have anywhere to live, and my friend put me up for 2 months, and within that time I got myself a job, and found myself somewhere to live. And the universe then just started completely playing ball. It was almost like, we see you, we can see you're trying, and there's so many adversities that were in my way, different things, and it was like, no, we're here. And 3 years into me worked at National Car Rental as a call So I'd be the person on the phone who'd be, good morning, thank you for calling National Car Rental. You've come through to Dee. How can I help you today? And then people would be like, I'm not talking to an answer phone. It's me.
You've still got it.
Yes. So 3 years into that, I met Simon, which wasn't meant to meet Simon, wasn't meant to be at the party at that time, wasn't meant to be at that place. And I was, and it all worked out beautifully.
Oh.
You know, it's like I never expected to ever meet anyone again. And this might sound a bit soppy, but I was under the hospital with alopecia, which was a hairdresser.
Was that on the back of stress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it started out as a small circle, but the circle spread out. And so I was combing over, and I was under the hospital, and my confidence had just, you know, and I was like, I just can't, I just don't, this is just like, what's going on? And I was really stressed out at National Car Rental. Anyone that you speak to there, it's like they wanted blood out of a stone. Like, I'm sure there are other car companies out there, but it really did want blood out of a stone. And it was way too stressful. And I started, I think, as a result of everything coming to a head, I got my alopecia. And then I kept saying that I wanted to be in primary school, work with children, because I kept being led back to the magic, the wonder, the innocence. I knew I had to start anew. I knew I couldn't do hairdressing. I knew I couldn't.
Because you've got to speak to people on a daily basis, and you're going to have to tell that same story over and over and over again. And that's just painful, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think for me, it just would have been a constant reminder of what could have happened. And so I was dealt this new hand, and don't get me wrong, you know, 20 odd years on, there's not a day that goes by. There really is not a day that goes by. But it's almost like over the years, I've harnessed that into a way to propel me forward. So the magic of being a little girl and all the inner stuff, I was like, I know I want to work in a primary school. That's what I want to do. But every time I rang Learn Direct, you're doing 8 till 6 at the minute, and that's long hours, so you won't have time to be able to do anything. I was like, no, I won't be able to have time to do anything. And I was thinking, it's not possible. It's not possible. And this is where I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, I realized. I woke up one morning. I was with Simon. We were together, and that. I woke up one morning, and my leg felt really funny. I couldn't move my leg. Wasn't quite sure what it was. I was hobbling around on it as you do. I twisted something. I've this, I've that, the other. And after a while, I decided to go to the doctors, and they sent me straight to the Royal. And Simon was with me, and I was like wondering, like, what's going on? Like, it's only my leg. And they laid me down. I was 27 at the time. Still working at National Car Rental. I'd been there 5 years at this point, and they laid me down, and they got this thing and was tapping my foot, and I was laughing at Simon, like, because I think when things start going right, you appreciate it more. And I think I think that's the thing. I think what makes me me is the fact that when tiny little things, you know, it might even be something like, oh, I didn't drop the milk today, or oh, I managed to get the bus on time. Tiny little things go right. I've got massive appreciation for it, because I know how quick things can, you know, and that's from childhood, that's from as a teenager, that's from as an adult in a relationship. So different parts of my life. And I was laughing at Simon. I was like, what's going on? And his face dropped. And I realised the man was using this thing, tapping my foot, and I wasn't responding. And he went, there's something not right. We need to get you in for a steroid. injection into your back. And I was like, okay. And not so an epidural, steroid epidural into your back.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. I was like, what? Is it just my leg? Like, I was so confused. So I booked in to have this epidural done into my back, which was horrendously painful. But I thought, well, I don't really know what they're looking for. And then they said, we think it's back related. But I was allergic to morphine and codeine, so I couldn't have the regular medication. A few months had gone by now. I didn't get an MRI straight away. I'd missed the chance to have physio and acupuncture. And quite quickly, it escalated to the point where I was becoming very immobile very quickly. And it wasn't just a limp. It was the whole side of my body. And almost the signal was going.
And there was no diagnosis at that point.
No diagnosis at that point. And I was begging for an MRI because I was like, I knew I'd got this horrendous pain in my back radiating down into my left leg. But each day it got worse. So like if Simon would take me out in the car, I'd think I'd be all right, and I'd go to get out the car and I'd a bolt. I'd collapse. There'd be nothing there to hold me up. So the hospital said, well, you probably need to start. No, that's a lie. The doctor said, we'll get you in for a nerve root block injection. And I was like, okay. So I went to Glenfield Hospital, Dr. Japlan, and they were going to do an injection through X-ray into my back, into the nerve. And again, I mean, I don't really, I'm not medically trained. I don't know what's what. But when I come out, the doctor's words were to me, and I will never, ever forget. And we're gone on a few months by now. And work have been asking, where are my sick notes? And at this point, I've started to realise that I love the people. Don't quite like that, that side of it.
Corporate side.
Because there wasn't, I realised then I was just a number. I was just ED3815. And that kind of didn't align with me.
No.
And loved the people. And so he came out, and I was there, and I was like looking at him, and he said, the only thing I can suggest is that you ring the Red Cross, and you get your house adapted, with wheelchair access, ramps, rails, commode, perching stool, and he said, because that's not worked, and very often that procedure would work. And I can't remember if I'd had the MRI before then or not. I think I must have done. And the MRI come up because the doctor said when he done the MRI, you don't need to be a doctor to read this. My disc had come out, my L4-5 had come out, but it had crushed all the nerves into my left leg and cut it completely off. And so that's when I think they did an every block injection, and then they realised that didn't work. So that was my last result.
Sure.
And I was like, again, my life's changed.
Yeah. You hadn't had an accident, or you hadn't been in a fall?
I've had previous car accidents, which I don't know if you remember. One of them was with Lucy from Tony and Guy.
That does ring a bell. Yeah. Oh my
God.
Yeah.
And then I had another one when we come off it suddenly become really heavy weather, and we come off the M18 down the embankment.
Yeah.
And that may have contributed to this.
Okay.
But apparently you can get this by if you sneeze funny, if you cough funny, if you bend to brush your teeth funny. It's just an unfortunate thing that can happen. And it happened.
Wow.
And so there I am. I've built all my life up again, Gaz. And the rug, that
Yeah.
famous magic carpet.
But these are not just small events, are they? These are
No.
huge. These are like monumental, life-changing events.
Yeah.
That what I'm hearing is most normal, say normal people would just collapse under that and they wouldn't recover. And what's really remarkable hearing this story that I didn't know about is the fact that you've got over all of that. Not only got over all of that, you've gone on to still find that inner child magic, you know, that rainbow that you sparkle quite evidently on your videos. And I think what inspires me about you is that I'm now trying to become more childlike, because I now look at my children and I realize that we should all be more like them,
Love
because
it.
because they see through that pain, that, you know, they don't dwell on yesterday, do they? They get over it very quickly. So
I
if we're
love it.
more childlike, we move quickly out of sorrow, fear, you know, feeling sorry for yourself. So when you and even tonight, you know, we had a few issues with the girls, as you can I'm sure relate to, but it's literally within 2 minutes it's all forgotten.
Mm,
I've not forgotten it because I'm an adult, but they've moved on.
mm.
So it's quite evident how useful it is to be like you.
I don't think I've realised that until recently, that that's what's got me through. Because how can I put it? I'd sit there, so I'm gonna be going off to work. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I felt very personally for me, I felt really, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but the fact I had to go toilet in the dining room,
Mm,
and Simon had to wash me, our relationship dynamic was different again. And I felt like I was shedding layers of being. I felt like I was building up layers of being this person, and then there was shedding back down, and I was sort of it was an ongoing thing. And Simon was amazing. You know, he was
mm,
and still is absolutely fabulous. And I remember he took me out in the car. I'd not been out in the car for ages, and I started crying. And he said, "What is it?" And I said, "I can't believe how colourful everything is."
wow.
What do you mean? But because I'd only been able to go out with somebody, I'd been looking at our newly painted magnolia living room, and that was it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I then, and oh my gosh, I mean, I wish I'd have remembered the day. I remember it in my heart, but I don't remember the actual day. I got a phone call out of the blue. So I'd kind of just said that was that I'd been told that was it. The company that I worked for had come around and said, "Well, what's stopping you coming work?" And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they quite understood,
Mm,
everything else that went with it. So I just finished 5 years, done my 5 years service, finished, and
mm,
wanted to concentrate on trying to rebuild this new life. So I
yeah.
started like card making to try and keep my brain going, and
Mm,
not to sell, just I lost a lot of my self-worth,
yeah,
um
that's understandable.
because if I wanted anything or needed anything, I'd have to ask somebody, and and it was just sort of took in the dead of the night. And I got this phone call, and it was this chap, and he says, "You don't know me, but I'm an orthopedic surgeon at the general hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard your case. I've your case study." He says, "And I'd like to bring you in for a chat." And I was like, "Okay." So I thought, oh, it's probably just another routine appointment. When I got there, he said, "Right, I've read it all. I'm willing to take a risk if you are." And I was thinking, well, what could possibly go wrong? You know? And I said, yeah, well, what is it? He said, I'm willing to perform back surgery on you, but there is a chance that, I don't know if he said, they'll cut through the spinal cord, or because it had all sort of grown into each other, that the operation could be a success, but you might not be able to walk. There's lots of factors into it, but there's always the chance that it will be a success. And I was like, I don't know if I've got anything to lose.
No.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh, how lucky am I? Like, being given this lifeline.
Out of nowhere.
And I was like, it's a no-brainer. Like, I'd never had an operation in my life. I was petrified. And I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. He said, I'll do another nerve root block injection to see if that helps. He did it. It didn't do anything. And he said, no, the answer is we need to operate. They'd done the operation, and the operation was a success. So I sort of was like elated, but didn't realise that the recovery part is where you know if the operation's worked.
Right. Okay.
Because I didn't realise that if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'd lost all the signals from my brain to my feet. And I had to, which was such a shock to me, learn to walk again.
That's massive, isn't it? That's huge. As an adult as well, with those self-beliefs, those, I guess, but then again, with your positivity, with your drive, how long did it take?
A year. So I had to attend hospital gym pretty much every day, and then physio exercises. And I had to, I mean, when I look back now, I feel so blessed. And I am going to tell this story on my Little Missy Magpie page, because I think,
Yes,
do they think themselves, God, she's always so happy. But there's a reason behind it, and there's always been a reason behind it, from being a little girl. It's been my safety mechanism.
Yeah.
It's what's kept me through. But I had to do, and again, it seems bizarre now because I've got like a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I run my own business, but where you had to stand between bars, and I had to hold a plate with a ball on, and then there'd be like shapes on the floor, and the nurse would say, okay, dear, if you want to do right foot orange circle. And now that you'd think, well, it's in front of you, so it's not difficult, but it isn't. There's nothing there's nothing happens. And I'd be there, and I'd slowly move my leg, thinking I don't even know if I've got my right leg or my left leg, and I'd be trying to balance this ball at the same time, trying not to hold on to the bars. The bars were just their safety, and just hope that I'd get my foot on that shape. And in the beginning, it was nowhere near the shape, but as time went on, it got more and more central. And then I'd practice. I remember, in fact, Gav, funny you should say this. Simon found this the other day. Tuesday the 14th of October. I mean, listen to this. Front door to back door walking. Wow, I did 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Like,
I mean, that's incredible.
I managed the stairs up and down. No dragging of the leg. I mean, I look at this and I think I'm racing around like a blue-tailed fly now. But I did my recovery, and the doctor said to me, I could never give, no, it was a physio. I said, will I walk again? And they went, we can't give you that.
Yeah, no.
We can't give you that promise. You've had the operation, but we can't give you that promise. And I thought, well, and even the bend of your leg. Like, I remember thinking, I was walking with Simon and the physio, and I was like, I forgot when you bend your leg. Like, how do you bend?
It's unthinkable, isn't it? Because you don't think about it. You've never thought about it because it's kind of a natural thing you learn. You don't remember learning.
Yeah. And then my next step was, could I walk in a straight line? I mean, I can't do that now, but could I do that then? you know, as I got better, could I stand on one leg? And the signal had just basically gone from my head to my leg because it hadn't been used.
Yeah.
And then everything else had started to go with it. And that's why I'm really an advocate for, if you don't use it, you lose it, because it needs, you know, like your brain, it needs that constant exercise, and almost like positivity, you know, without sort of jumping on the positivity bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know, it's an exercise. You need to, you know, work on
Well,
it. It's not just gonna wake up and the world's gonna be full of rainbows, but it can be if you exercise that part.
You're still
And then
practicing
as
it, aren't
time
you?
went on, I said to Simon, I want to volunteer. I want to help myself, because I was on crutches now. So a year had gone by, I progressed onto crutches. And you get a lot of help. Like I can't remember who it was, but like when you've been in a situation like that, you get help to do courses and things. And I said, oh, I'd love to do something with teaching. And she was like, well, we can do your first aid course. And we can do your food hygiene course. So I could do that all from home. And then I said, I want to volunteer. And I volunteered at a primary school, only 3 days a week, I think, going around on my crutches. Absolutely loved it. But then I got the chance to do an MVQ.
Right.
So the lady said to me, because you're doing the voluntary work, we can put you down for an NVQ. And, you know, this can take as long as you want, but you can do it online, and obviously we'll come out and assess. Before I knew it, I'd been working at this school for 7 months. I'd built myself up to, like, I was still on my crutches, but I was getting more to the point where I wasn't relying on them as much. I'd done my MVQ, and I sat there one day and I thought, oh my God, did I really have to go through all that to be able to do my teaching assistant NVQ? Yeah,
Maybe.
because then it was all handed on a plate to me. My MVQ was paid for.
Yeah.
I'd done my voluntary work, and then a few months later, I was pregnant with Liam, and it was like, oh, what? Wow,
Well, the jigsaw pieces.
crikey! And Simon will always call my scar on my back, although it's only small,
Yeah.
he'll say it's like your caterpillar.
Okay.
And from that, you've
Yeah.
flourished.
Yeah.
And although I still work part-time in my primary school, and I've been there, well, I didn't work there when the children were young, but I've been there 8 years now, and I love it because I love the innocence and the magic, and I love just how much difference you can make.
Wow.
I really love that. And I started my jewelry business because when I had Myla, and it's almost like the calm had settled, I didn't know who I was.
Right. Because there's a lot gone past, doesn't it? There's, you know, you're talking years have gone past, and so much has happened, and you've not worked on you. And this is, you know, and I know you do practice self-care, and you do think about yourself, but is that something you're doing now more of? Are you looking after yourself, or is life just still 100 mile an hour?
Yeah, no. I think I've always been lucky because I think for some reason I've always been able to find the balance, and I don't know how. But I think that goes with the childlike thing again. It's you know, you don't have the world on your shoulders.
No.
So I think that again, it helps me massively. But I just remember thinking, I know I'm mum, which I'm eternally grateful for. I'm wife, I'm daughter. But who is Dee?
Yeah.
And being a hairdresser, you know yourself, you've got so much creativity inside that you just want to get out.
You just
And
give.
you
You're just giving all the time.
Yeah, all the time, all the time. And you said something the other day, and I was like, oh my life, that's me.
Yeah.
You said, I found my feet. I've been doing this jewelry business now. I still work part-time at the primary school. This is my, you know, my I still do that, and then this is my evening and weekends, and this is my therapy in a way. I love it. But when I realised, and you might remember saying something similar, and I was like, oh my word, Gavin. When I realised after 4 years of doing this, that it wasn't just about making jewellery, showing it and selling it, that didn't align with me.
Right.
That didn't align with me. It was nice, and it was nice to feel the creativity, but it's like a bit icky. When I had the notion that I could take it to a different level of spreading the magic, enabling people to sparkle from the inside out, really feel their self-worth, you know, believe that they deserve to feel that special, and that everyone has the right to shine, which is like my strapline mission statement, whatever you want to call it. That encompasses my whole story.
Yes. Well,
everyone has the right to shine.
That's growing, and it's evident that it's growing, because yes, the jewelry's brilliant, and you're obviously talented and you've got a passion for it. But what is growing is your passion to tell your why. And that was one of my questions. What is you probably be able to answer this now. What is your why? Have you got a goal, a life goal, or is it because I don't know if you've ever read a book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Well, it's probably the only one I've not read, because I tell you what, I'll send you a photo of my bookcase, but I've not, so I will do.
But honestly, Start With Why is the whole reason I started in hairdressing. Well, first of all, as a chef, then as a hairdresser.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot you were a chef.
Yeah, so we did that, but I'm still passionate about cooking, but I don't have to do it for money. So I prefer, you know what I mean? I actually prefer doing that. Like you, it almost feels alien to take money for something that you're passionate about. So what I'm now passionate about, and I spend more time with my clients talking than cutting, because they get so much back from me.
Love it.
They, it used to be 50-50, like 50% the haircut, 50% the therapy chat. Now I think it's 70% the chat, 30% the haircut. And people they're spending an hour and 15 with me, and they leave inspired. People are starting businesses. People are, going home and being better husbands on the back of it. So I've got to take I've got to follow that pattern as well, because I've got to be as good in my relationships and in my story as well, and walk the talk the walk, whatever you want to say. But I'm now realizing the gift that you've got, that I've got, that we need to spread that message and you're spreading the message through your jewelry, through your passion, right?
Yeah, and since I've been doing, I remembered you saying, and I'd already had this notion, and so when you said it, you said, I love cutting hair. Of course I do, it's my passion, but the fact that I know I'm giving them something else makes it all the better. And that's when I started to really flourish. I started my Magic Monday,
Brilliant.
I started to encompass more of me actually into it, which is always a bit scary, because people don't like it. It's kind of like, oh, didn't like me. So I mean,
that's the whole point, right? People don't like it. They don't like it. It's not, you're not going to.
Can you see that?
She remembered who she was, and the game changed. Brilliant. Excellent.
I'm just surrounded. Now I'm looking I'm just surrounded. And funnily enough, today I cut my little girl's hair.
Yes.
And it felt really special that I could do that for her.
Honestly, that's.
And then in the next breath, I got an email, a message to say, thank you for this piece of jewelry. It's made me feel confident when I had to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, what will align with me the most? What will drive me forward with Little Missy Magpie? And in life in general, is to keep spreading this, whatever this is.
Yes. And do you know what? I'll tell you my legacy, dream, if you like, my why is ultimately, and I'm sure you'd want to do this as well, is stand up in schools or in certainly where young people are, where they're impressionable, where they're getting their inspiration from. I'd like to stand up in schools and tell our stories, because the reason I want to tell our stories is because we're not your typical success story. You know, we didn't go to, you didn't get A stars, go to university, get a degree, be a solicitor. But when I look back at how happy we are, compared to, I look at other people who maybe have more money or seemingly society success, they're going to be working and working day in, day out, but they're not actually happy doing the job they're doing. Whereas we're happy doing what we do. So can we not spin that and teach people how to be happy first? And life becomes a blessing, right?
Yes.
Life becomes joyful rather than a chore. Because I remember my early years just a chore, and it was boring, and I hated it. And I thought, if this is it, oh my god. But if we could teach this from a very young age, oh wow! Imagine where they'd be when they're our age. But then that message would get out sooner. They could spread the message sooner, be happier sooner. The realization that you don't need money to be happy. Obviously, you've got to pay your bills, but when you realize that if you're happy, then yeah, that's
do you
it.
think
Right?
something's just come to me, Gav? Do you think people, generation nowadays, actually they are? Do you think generation nowadays are too quick to grow up?
Yes. So I actually got that down, and as one of my questions about the younger generation, and I never want to talk ill of them, but they're obviously going to change. We're different from our parents. We're going to be different from our kids. We are society's allowing them to grow up too soon. So I've got friends whose kids have Facebook accounts when they're 6 and 7, and they're playing Call of Duty, shooting games at that age. It's it's like, I know it's not real, but there's an age limit for a reason. You don't let them drink, you don't let them take drugs and drive a car. There's an age limit on a shoot 'em up game for a reason. But I'm seeing that more and more and more. And we're quite strict with our children. And actually, I'm quite happy if people have an issue with what we're doing. I'm quite happy to be the weirdo at the school gates. I'm quite happy to be that. Oh, that's that Gav. He's always happy. Yeah. do you know what I mean? Why? What? Why not?
Oh, I love it, Gav. I love it.
Why not?
I love it.
I know. I make every morning. I make a point of saying hello to strangers, and it's and the more you can do it, the more outrageous. Even if they're on the other side of the road, just say morning.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you've got it, and it feels uncomfortable the first time you do it, doesn't it? It feels really uncomfortable, and some people cross the road or look the other way, but I think that can change someone's whole day.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Can't it? Doing that. Just do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So what you're doing, and so I'll tell you a little story about I do it's called passing it forward, or doing kind deeds without people knowing. And the best thing to do is not tell anyone, because it's very easy just to be rewarded for that favor or kind deed, but do it, but don't tell the next person. So my favorite one is in a car wash. It doesn't have to be money related. It could be anything. It could be gardening, weeding for your neighbor, but not telling them. But yeah, in a car wash, pay for your car and then give the £6 or whatever pounds it is to the team and say, could you just pay for the guy behind me, but don't tell him till I've left.
Oh.
And it's that they're easy ones because you can drive off, but that little spark, like little magic dust, will then will go and on and on and on and on. So the guy in America the reason I'm telling you this, there's a guy in America who did this for a living, like did it all the time. He had business cards printed. He was a taxi driver, but he wanted to do an experiment. So he wrote his business card, and he every now and again he'd say to the punter, "This is on me. This is on me. You've been a wonderful guest of my taxi. It's on me. But what you've got to do is pass this on, do a favor or deed for someone else, but give them this business card." So about 6 months later, someone got in his cab, and when he dropped them off, they tripled the fee and gave him his own business card back. He'd gone. This business card had gone potentially around the world. It could have been anywhere, but he didn't know. So the next thing he said to write the name and place on the card, so then give it to the next person, and the next person, the next person. But this card came back to him.
No way.
Yeah, could have been anywhere. But imagine that everyone did that. Everyone did simple. It could be anything. But this is why we do what we do, because it will come back to you. But when it comes back to you, you don't realize it's not a coincidence. Exactly what you're saying. It's not a coincidence. They're those special deeds coming back to you because you've put them out. Yeah.
If I can make someone smile, laugh, feel good about themselves,
yeah,
whatever it may be,
yeah,
it kind of has a knock-on effect, because it fills my cup up a little bit, because I'm like,
absolutely.
oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But I've just had an idea, but what I'm proposing is that potentially you could build that into your jewelry business as one-off limited edition. If someone buys it from you, limited edition, and it's exclusive price, whatever, but they buy it but then pass it on.
Oh my, joking me.
Yeah,
that's a wicked idea.
But it's going to be a price. It's going to be your best ever, but it's you pass that. It's called the pass it forward bracelet or whatever. And when someone does a good deed, you go, there you go. You've got to then do that deed and pass it on and pass it on, pass it on.
So it's made originally as the pass it on bracelet.
Yeah. So one person buys it, you benefit from that. You've made it. You can make it as many as you want, but then it goes out there forever.
Yeah. That's and this is the thing. I mean, I always think if someone hasn't got a smile, you give them yours, and you're probably the same with your children. It's just in my makeup. It's just the way I am. I can't help it. And I think, like today, I feel amazing because I've donated shed loads of school uniform, most of it brand new, for children. For parents of children that can't, afford it, and they won't have to pay for it. Wow. It will be all set up and stored, and they'll just go and get what they need, basically. So that felt amazing. And then they wanted to raise some money, so I made them some jewelry. And I'm honestly, she said, "Oh, I'll give you a mention." I said, "It doesn't really matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter." Because I felt so amazing thinking that's helping, because A, that's going to raise money, B, someone's going to end up with that piece, and C, I've got a sparkle in my step.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you say, you don't have to have a monetary, because money's just been made
energy.
up.
It's just energy.
It's just energy, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, what advice, I'm just thinking, what advice would you give your younger self? And what advice would your future self give you?
Whoa, right. Okay. So what advice would I give my younger self? I mean, I have almost like your higher self, something just comes to you, and what springs to mind is, so I do a lot of meditation and
brilliant
crystals and journaling and all that sort of stuff, and I love it. Again, that's all the magic of life for me. And And the thing that springs to mind is what I would tell my younger self is that it will all be okay in the most magical way. Just
Brilliant.
got to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that for me encompasses very colourful things that have happened, really devastating things, tragic things, loss, just, you know, everything. And again, that childlike belief that it will be all right, it's going to be okay. For my future self, oh my word.
But what would your future self tell you? What would you think the advice your future self will tell you now?
Oh, I love that question.
Because you know what you would, how you would answer a question, but how would they answer it?
I love that.
Do you know what I mean? What would they give? What advice do you think they'd give you right now? What what are you worrying about? What you know?
I think mine has always, now this is strange, and you might be able to help me unpick this, because my worry is being me, which is bizarre.
But isn't that weird though? But your future self would say,
keep doing you.
Keep doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's becoming less of a worry. I don't think I've ever been worried as such. I think this has just been me, but I think I'm like, I don't dim to fit in, like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I always felt that if someone was upset or something was wrong, it was my doing.
Right.
And so I'd tone things down or not be as happy, because I think, well, and obviously you don't want to be insensitive to situations, but I slowly realised that, you're not being insensitive to situations. Of course, you're not going to be laughing if someone's sad, but you don't need to dim to fit in.
No.
You can just carry on being you. And actually, since I've been doing that with my jewellery, and I've realised, sparkle from the inside out. Come on, let's get mental health. I'm a big mental health advocate, because mainly for the fact of, it's the magic is there every day. Like, and I might be the weirdo at the school gate, and I am. I'm Miss Holyoak.
Brilliant.
But I love it, because I just think at the end of the day, I want other people to see it. I want other people to feel it.
Yeah. No, I totally resonate with that, because, like you say, other people, I can guarantee other people or parents will be saying, "Why is she always happy? Why?"
Yeah,
and they'll just be asking that question. They'll be like, "Why is she not sad?" But you don't have to be sad on the outside. You don't have to be sad on the inside. It's a choice, right?
Yeah.
You make a choice every morning to go out the house with a smile on, and it's not fake. It's definitely not fake, is it?
I can't keep this up for 40 odd years. No. And obviously things do trouble me, and things do get me down, and things do, upset me, and things do.
Of course. That's normal.
But again, and I keep coming back to this, and I never realised just how much my inner child helped me. It kind of, I knew how to look after myself. I knew whether that was to curl up in a ball, have a little cry, or read a book, or I knew how to self-soothe.
Right.
Learned that from a very young age, and that's carried me through. And I think that's why I've remained very childlike.
Brilliant. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm going to take from that on this podcast. It's that, we keep coming back to it, don't we? And childlike behavior means that you can move on, because that's what, like meditation. I thought years ago that I wouldn't be able to do it because I can't stop thinking about stuff. But it's not about not thinking, it's about allowing thoughts to pass by. And I did a little video today, which I'll put out on Facebook tomorrow, but it was about how emotions and thoughts are like clouds. Sometimes it's thunderstorms, sometimes it's clear blue sky, sometimes it's cloudy, fluffy clouds, sometimes it's dark, but they pass by, right? The wind will still blow. It doesn't the clouds don't just stop above your head. Do they? So that's my analogy for thoughts and emotions. Like, if I'm feeling down, I don't need I know that it will go. And there's a famous saying, I'm not religious, Christianity wise, but in the Bible it says, "This too shall pass," and
Yeah.
it's amazing. Same as what, but being childlike allows those thoughts to just pass by because they just do. If
Yeah.
you allow them to, you can dwell on it, but you
Yeah.
allow them to go by.
It isn't that you're not taking things seriously or you're not taking life
No,
seriously. I mean, I think I see life a lot clearer than probably what
yes,
somebody else doesn't, because my eyes are wide open. I'm
yeah, yeah,
awake.
yeah, yeah, yes,
I mean,
yeah.
you wouldn't think
What?
that my nickname's Dizzy D, but I'm wide awake.
Yeah, I
I'm
feel the
wide
same.
awake. The signs, the signals, the possibilities, the song that comes on, the angel numbers that show, the things my children say.
Yeah,
I'm wide awake and I don't want to miss a thing. And if
awesome,
I,
awesome.
again, I I felt like I could really take the bull by the horns with Little
Mhm.
Missy Magpie when I had that notion that
Yeah.
this isn't just about making jewellery. That's icky.
No,
Yeah,
no.
it's lovely, it's great. There's more to this,
Yep.
and that comes from here. I wouldn't dare do lives. I was scared to do lives. I've started doing a few more lives now, and I feel like, do you know what, Dee? It's okay. It's okay to be this. This
Because everyone's thinking, "Oh my god, she's brave. She's brave. I wish I could do that." That's what they're thinking. They're not thinking, "Oh my god, she's on again." They're thinking, "Oh wow, she's how brave is she?" So,
yeah.
and I think that's what you got to remember and hold on to, because I think you've got a very positive future. You've got a very bright future ahead of you. Whatever you do, it will be a happy. And there'll be bumps in the road, obviously. But what do you think the next 5 to 10 years look like for Dee and your family?
Oh God.
Because obviously we can't plan because we never know. But what do you have that foresight, that thinking about what you'd like to happen?
I'd love. I mean, I've always wanted to live near the seaside.
Cool.
Um. So, and my sister lives in Scarborough.
Okay.
Um. Because there's something magical about the ocean and walking through the beach with your
Yeah.
no shoes on.
Yeah.
But I think it would it would be to really, like, when if I do sales, I don't like to call them sales. I like to think of it as, say, for example, I've done, I don't know, 15 sales, and I think I've empowered 15 women today.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
It's it's such a strong message of everything's gonna be all right. And no, it's not all rosy in the garden,
Mhm.
but we can do. We're human, and we're meant to feel this, and we're meant to feel that. All colours of the rainbow, but we can
Brilliant.
do this.
Brilliant. No, I think you could build that. You can almost build that team, that army.
Yeah,
The little Miss
it is.
Magpie army. That.
That's what I'm trying. In a way,
Yeah.
Gav, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sort of. This might sound a bit like far-fetched, but almost a movement of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
feel that self-worth.
Yeah.
Because I remembered, just quickly going back to when I was poorly with my back and
Mhm.
everything, and I'd probably not got. I mean, this is going to sound bizarre, but I'd probably not got any bracelets on or necklace on, and if I just put a bracelet on, I felt more me.
Mhm.
I felt a bit more like, oh God, I'm work. And
Yeah.
it's bizarre, isn't it? You have your hair done, like,
Yeah. Well, it's a
not
symbol, isn't it?
just having your hair done.
It's a symbol, right? It's a symbol.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's not just about having your hair done. It's almost like you're showing someone you're so worth this. You're
There you
worth
go.
it, and you see
Yeah.
them leave your salon
Yeah.
a different person. I had someone message me the other day, and she says, I've got this degenerative disease. I really want to wear an ankle bracelet for the beach. I'm unable to do the lobster class.
Okay.
I don't know what to do. And I thought, I don't, but I will do. And I sat with it. and I made her a magnetic clasp, so there was no fiddling
Brilliant.
around. It was just literally, and she was like
Fantastic.
sending me pictures, and she was like, I can't remember if she put I'm bent, not broken, or something. And you took, and it's like, yes,
That's it.
yes,
Yeah.
that's my point.
Amazing. 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 So on that, what I want to obviously share, and obviously I could speak to you all night. I'd
I
love to,
could speak to you.
we'll have
No,
to,
I'm
we'll have to
sorry
catch
if
up.
I I'm
No, no,
sorry if
no,
I've
no,
waffled.
no. I like that because obviously you've got an amazing, amazing story, and I've learnt something as well, which is why I'm doing this as well. So, we've all got stories to tell, but we should all be telling it,
Yeah,
and inspiring others. And so what I want to make sure is that where can everyone who's listening go to find out about Little Miss Magpie and
I
check
mean,
you
at the
out?
minute, I don't really understand Instagram, although I am on it a bit. I mean, it won't be as a shock to the system that I don't really know my technical side. But I've just, at the moment, I've got my Facebook group,
Cool,
Little Missy
cool.
Magpies, handmade jewellery.
I'll
I
pop a
can
link
always
on
send
as
you
well.
I can always send you the link, but
Yeah.
and that actually, again, you've made me go around in a circle here. That's my childhood, because when I was little, I used to see a magpie and be like saluting the magpie,
Okay.
and I call my little girl Little Misty, and Liam and Mila's name is a thingy of each other. Is it
Mhm.
anagram? I can't think what the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And that also in Little Missy Magpie. That's
Brilliant. Oh,
inside. So
okay.
it's a whole big circle. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great. It'd be great to see you there, and
Yeah,
just to, you've really given me something, Gavin, because you've really given me the extra sparkle of, let's all, if we all do this,
yeah,
we're going to create some sort of movement, and that is
definitely.
amazing.
You've got to believe that there's millions of us, right? There's millions of us, but we're disconnected. Everyone's talking their own talk, but this is where social media comes in, and us talking our talk slowly connects the dots,
Yeah,
and people start joining together. And you'll see, trust me, you'll see in the coming years, that it's on its way. People are moving towards more community-led projects, togetherness, and moving out of materialistic Love Island rubbish.
yeah. No, I'm not.
I mean, that for me is where society's gone very wrong.
Mm,
So I want to protect, and it's all about our children, right? We're
mm,
trying to change the way the world is. I
mm,
mean, I do believe we want to change the world.
mm.
That's it. It's massive.
No, I agree. I agree, because I think a lot. No, no, just no, not calling anyone, not,
Uh-huh.
and I don't want to tar everyone with the same brush, but there's so many people I see on a daily basis that are just sort of walking down, looking at the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like you said, if you act more childlike, you'll live, and you'll smell the roses.
Yeah, you
You'll
do.
skip. The only time I skip is when I skip to school with the girls,
Yeah,
but I shouldn't be skipping anywhere. Imagine just skipping along the road,
yeah. I love it.
because you can.
I love it. I love it. I was in Audi the other day. I was singing to my little girl. I was like, singing Moana to her, and I got louder and louder. Kind of forgot myself, and she was getting louder and louder. And then this lady, oh, that's lovely. I says, do you know what? I says, I'd lost myself then for a minute. And I truly lost myself. I mean, they probably
Brilliant.
come and take me away, but they could take me away to a place where everybody thinks,
Yes.
in that awakened state of,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
magic out there, it's everywhere, Gavin, it's everywhere.
Amazing. Let's leave that on that note, because that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Dee. Thank you for spending the time tonight, talking. And honestly, even if we do a live together, another time, because I do believe that more people need to hear this same conversation over and over and over again, because um, more people will start waking up, right?
Yeah, they will. And I
Brilliant.
know that it's working, because my husband said the other day, just very quickly, he said, I nearly stopped the car then. And I said, why? He said, I saw angel numbers appear on the dashboard, and I just felt I needed to do something. And I was like, Yes, slowly but surely you're waking up. But no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Oh,
much
no,
for having me.
you're
Honestly,
absolutely
thank you
welcome.
so much.
Brilliant. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank
Bless
you.
you.
Thank you. I'll just stop